right. So in my own mix, I've been having issues just making everything sound, I guess as they call like glued together. Like my mixes, I want them to sound tight, but still very dynamic. And I know that's some sort of compression or like mix bus compression. What is your method for getting that glue on the mix bus? That you know what I mean? Like what kind of compressor to use, that sort of thing. What's your
Yeah, I mean, that's a moving target because there's no one answer. There's no single bullet that will solve all these problems. The biggest thing that people think about when they say, oh, it needs glue, is because all the instruments sound too separated and too unique. And if you ask the same question in the opposite direction, how do I make my mix sound separated and unique? It's not even the same techniques. It's like two different results. So the 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 result always depends on the beginning, your tension in the beginning, and how you record. If you record with a lot of bleed, that can glue a mix together without even trying.
right?
But if you are, say you have a bunch of tracks that have been recorded, overdub, went to this place and recorded, I recorded, and that stuff tends to not sound stuck together. Or what happens more often is that people are using equipment that doesn't have a lot of weight or significance or harmonic character. And you have these sounds that are, for lack of a better way of putting it, tiny. And how do I make my sounds bigger and make them all sound stick together? That's one way that you would define glue. So, in that sense, yeah, compression can do it, harmonic distortion can do it. You know, the volume, the relative volume of different things can make things bigger. If you imagine you're mixing a drum set and you mix the snare drum really, really loud, and then you have the rest of the instruments around it, it might be a stylistic choice, but the space around the snare is going to be filled up by the air vibrating around the snare, and it's going to sound like the whole kit is stuck together by that snare. So it's a relative thing, but I think the easy answer and the answer that most people are looking for is something along the lines of bus compression, or I'm mixing to something. Tape can often, people who work with analog tape can often talk about how the tape sticks things together, but all it's doing is adding a little bit of compression and a little bit of harmonic distortion, and those things are being added together in a way that makes the sounds all sound like they came from the same place. So I guess you would have to begin by defining what glue means, but you then have to figure out what is the problem that you need glue. So I guess I'm saying all that to say the short answer is you can try mixing into some bus compression. You can put a stereo compressor on your mixing bus, mix into it, and see if that helps stick things together. You can also try taking a mix that already exists, throw a stereo bus compressor on it. There's a ton of boxes that will create harmonic distortion on top of your mix that will, to your ear, do something similar to compression, but it's not actually compression. You're filling in the extra space around the sounds. It's really hard to describe when you use such nebulous terms, but the short answer is you would have to approach it from what the problem is first, and what are you trying to solve?
Cohesion.
Cohesion, you're trying to, so you're saying, how do I make the mix sound more cohesive?
Right.
I mean, the first answer is to record it in a space where all the instruments are. It goes like this: nothing mixes better than air. Nothing. So if you have musicians in a room playing instruments and they're mixing each other in the air, that's going to be the best mix you're going to get. After that, microphones and electronics are going to start to separate the sound from the air, and you can't separate sound from space. You have to have some sense of space going on there. So now you might be introducing reverbs and echoes and spatial effects could create a sense of space, and they can also help blend a sound together and make sounds stick together a little bit, but they could also make it sound washy. That could be a little bit too much. It could be a dangerous fix. Cohesion can sometimes mean my sounds don't sound like they come from the same performance because I overdubbed in different places and stuff like that. Sometimes using the same reverb on a bunch of different sounds can make it all sound like it came from the same place. Sometimes it's an EQ thing, a harmonic balance thing. I personally like harmonic, uh, harmonic distortion as a way to kind of bring things together. And compressing can absolutely do it. If you want to use here's a real world experiment you can do instead of listening to some knucklehead talk about it. If you want to really get a sense of how bus compression can make a difference in making your mix more cohesive, or what a mix bus compressor can do for your mix, if you think that's some answer, take any of the plugins that simulate or emulate a real world box that people tell you need to make this mix. SSL 4K or any kind of VCA compressor, a Fairchild, Neve 33609, all of the above, any of those classic kind of compressors. Put it on your mix bus and start mixing into it. Find the spot where you're not doing enough, the needle hasn't started dancing. Then push it even harder and find that spot where the needle's pushing too much. Play with the attack and release. See what the attack and release do to the rhythm of the song, right? Too much attack and release timed correctly can make it sound like that Daft Punk thing where the bass drum is pumping the whole mix. Not enough can make it sound like you pulled a blanket over your whole head. Don't worry about what you think this thing is supposed to do. Get in there and do it and experiment with it. Push it too far, use it wrong, and it will teach you how to use it right. You find the spot where you've not done enough. Then find the spot where you've done way too much. Keep going. Push it into distortion. Push it into the broken zone and then see what it does and then back it down. And when it gets right, when it works, it'll start to pop. It'll start to do something that you don't have a control for. It starts to raise the hair on the back of your neck, and there's no button on that box that says raise the hair on the back of my neck. Use it wrong and it will teach you how to use it right.